In today's video, I'm going to be telling you guys about all 29 books I've read so far this year. 29. That's a lot of books, and we only halfway through the year. My reading goal for this year is 50 books, and I'm already 5 books ahead of that goal. Let's make sure we're keeping it running. Hopefully we can reach our goal by the end of the year. You're gonna have to subscribe so you can come back and watch the end of the year video. This video is going to be split up in sections of each month I've read. So we have January, February, March, April, May, and June. In January, I read 4 books. The first book I read was Limerence by H.C. Dolores. I read this book on my Kindle and I ended up rating it 3 stars. This book falls into the dark romance category, but it also had like a bit of a murder mystery going on. It's between a psychopath and a girl who's a scholarship student at this school. In the story, we're pretty much following a romance, but a darker side of a romance, and I enjoyed the book. I would definitely recommend this book if you're looking for a quick and easy read. It is a duology, and it kind of caught me off guard. I only thought that this was like a standalone, and that kind of brought the rating down for the book for me because I didn't like that it was 2 books. It definitely could have ended on 1 book. I'm not sure if I'm going to read the second book. I would say I recommend this book if you want a book that's quick and easy to read, a dark romance. It's set in a school, and then I just love the vibes of a psychopath. If you want that, just read it. The next book I read in January was the 3rd book in the Harry Potter series, which is The Prisoner of Azkaban. I have never read this series before. This was my first time reading the series. I was on a Harry Potter kick and it was hitting. I rated this book a 5 stars. It was so good. I rated pretty much all the books in the series a 5 star because they were so good, and it's like such a good feeling to be able to connect with these characters and feel at home. And then I felt so much for Harry. Like, I feel so much for him, and I feel so much for like what he has to go through and like how he still prevails, and just he's such a strong guy, you know. And he's literally in this book, he's younger than me, and I'm like, I don't know if I could do this. The next book I read was a novella. It's called Better Watch Out by A.J. Merlin. I've read a couple of her books. She's like a dark romance, pretty spicy books, and I read it as like a cleanser after reading Harry Potter. This book was definitely a good one. I rated it 3 stars because I would definitely recommend this book to like other people. It's a cool novella. It's not too much spice, and it actually had a plot. It's really hard for authors to do a novella where it's not so focused on spice and you actually get plot from it. The last book we read in January was one totally outside of my comfort zone. We read Daydream by Hannah Grace, and I ended up rating this book a 4.5 star. Y'all, I do not read contemporary romance. I at the time didn't read contemporary romance. This book changed my entire mind. I read this book pretty much mostly on audiobook, and I love the audiobook. I really recommend people read this book through audiobook because I feel like a lot of nothing really happened in the book, but the audiobook kept me entertained, and I was like, wow, I just love this. You really will relate to the male and female main character in this book. They are so relatable. Like, they feel so real. Henry and Haley. I keep saying Henry's name on the back, but not Haley's. They're so relatable characters, and Haley's like a book girl. She's plus size a little bit, and I just was eating it up. I was like, yes, I can relate to them so much, and I felt so connected to them, and them together, they just communicate so well. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, 6 stars. The best book I ever read in the series. I love this book. This book is amazing. The vibes in this book and how fast-paced this book was amazing. I loved how we had so much stuff going on. I love the new setup of the book. I definitely think this book took a new turn than all the other books have been taken. It ate. This book made me bawl my eyes out. I cried so bad in this book. If you know, you know. The next book we read in February definitely took it back for me, y'all. I hadn't read a Penelope Douglas book in years. Like, pretty much since I started reading. I started with her because she was the dark romance queen, and that's what I wanted, and I ate it up, and I read all of her books pretty much. And she released this one, I'm pretty sure this year, and I decided to pick it up, y'all. I didn't know if I was going to like it. I didn't know how I was going to feel about it. I rated it a 4 star. A 4 star. I'm going to read y'all my review so y'all can understand how much I did like this book and love this book. Penelope still remains one of my favorite authors. I felt at home with this book, loved the found family, and just how real this book was outside of, you know what. Because what? That was wild. The concept of this book is wild. I also loved how familiar this book was, having read Tristic's Venom. That's like her sapphic romance, and I read that like years ago when I first started reading. I didn't like the little 3rd act breakup. It did not fit for me, but overall I love this book and I would recommend. Next, we ended up reading Phantom by H.D. Carlton, another one of my authors that I would kind of consider one of my favorite authors, and this kind of confirmed that Penelope Douglas is still #1 at that time, and H.D. Carlton is like #2 when it comes to like the dark romance scene, because I read Phantom and I read that a 1 star. Having seen the author's stories on Instagram, if you ask me, it feels like Phantom was only made because publishers wanted her to make the book. Like, this did not have to be a story, and I could tell this didn't feel like a story she wanted made. That's just how it gave to me, especially like how she's talked about the book, how publishers have wanted the book and asked for the book. It definitely did not give a H.D. Carlton book from the heart. if you ask me. So I rated the book 1 star. It was not good to me, and I don't like books set in a past tense setting. I realized that pretty much with this book. Like, it definitely solidified it me. I just can't do past tense books. This book was a 1 star, and that's all I have to say about it. Next, we begin the Light Lark series. I started this because of Emmy. Emmy loves this series. I will read anything she recommends. So I ended up reading Light Lark, and I actually want to tell you guys my rating. 3.5 stars. I really am for the first time on both sides. I can't decide. Grimm or Oro. I couldn't decide, guys. Light Lark, I was just like, Oro isn't that bad. He might be the good guy, but he is not that bad, guys. Grimm, he's the bad guy. Like, obviously everybody likes him. That's all I have to say about this book. It was a really easy fantasy, and I'm pretty sure I was like just getting into fantasy this year. Like, this was like the most me getting into fantasy. Like, I'm really into deep. So this is like a cool basic fantasy if you want to get into something like this. It's an easy start. Wasn't anything complicated, and we, you know, it was okay. 3.5 stars. Next, I continued the series with Nightbane, and I rated this book a 3 star, but honestly the entire like reading, I was rating it a 2 star until the last 10%, which was a masterpiece. I'm telling you, that was peak. Honestly, it was peak. It was so good. I loved the last 10%, which raised it to a 3 star. I still have not picked up Skyshade because that entire book being a 2 star just does not urge me to pick up the book. And if you look over here, it's on my physical TBR. I do not know if I'm picking up Skyshade just because I'm not fiending for it. To end off February, I read another book that was on my Kindle, and it's called All Your Pain by Hannah Meadows. If you know Zayd Meadows, I kind of liked her last name. I was like, oh wow, is that your real last name? Really? That's cool. But the book was 1 star. I actually don't remember anything about the book. It was 1 star though. It wasn't for me. Following into March, the hill just went really far down, and we actually started March with a DNF of The Dark and Drowning Tide. We DNF'd at 60% of this book, and I picked up this book because of Emmy and because of Sarah. Because the cover is so beautiful. Look at this cover. The cover is beautiful, and that shall never take away from this book because the cover is probably the most amazing thing I liked about this book. This book was all over the place. All over the place. It's like a fantasy book, and it's on a ship also, about different regions in this fantastical world, and then they go on a journey through the woods, and I just stopped. That's it. DNF at 60%. We continued going downhill in March, and mind you, this is my birthday month. I was in Canada and I didn't read a thing. I bought a lot of books, but I didn't read a thing because I was stuck in Harry Potter and the Order of Phoenix, which was the book that made me stop the series. I had to DNF it. I was like 70% in the book. Nothing happened. Nothing at all. Didn't want to read it anymore. DNF'd it. Not pleasing at all. It's just like we are all been fast paced and stuff had been happening, but this, nothing at all. Nothing. Then for our last book of March, we read another Kindle book called Breaking the Girl by Ava Marks. We rated that book a 2 star. Don't remember what happened to this book. I know it's a dark romance. I'm sure you can tell from the title of the book. I'm sure you can tell. March was probably one of my worst reading months ever. It's time for April, and we're starting with the best book I've read all year, which is Deep End by Ellie Hazelwood. I rated this a 6 stars. This book is about Lucas and Scarlett. They both go to Stanford. They both are like swimmers. Lucas is a swimmer. Scarlett is a diver. Scarlett was hurt, but she's getting back in her diving. She's working on it. She's trying to get back. And Lucas is a star, y'all. Lucas is a star. He came from a different country and came over to Stanford to actually swim, and that's so great. He's literally a star. He's been in the Olympics. He's won so many titles. This is a romance book where you should understand that Lucas and Scarlett are beautiful. In this book, we do have a kink exploration of power exchange, but it's not just about that. Y'all have to realize how deep that goes and how deeply intimate that can get outside of that. Lucas so greatly understood Scarlett, and he took everything at her pace, and she so greatly adores him. They are perfect for one another in the way they were able to be compatible with each other. The way they got together, y'all, crazy. And it does come up. People say best friends boyfriend, but it's not that. They were not best friends. They started being friends, and she recommended him to her. And did she go out to get him? No, he came to her. Now I want to tell y'all my review because I could talk about this book all day, and we're going to listen to my review. 6 stars, exclamation point. I have so many words I can't write a review. Left my ass off. It's not for everyone, but it was for me. I related to Scarlett so much and their relationship was beautiful. People say this book is purely physical, but it's not at all. I love how the story followed many different things, kept me entertained the entire time. I read this within a day, so fast paced, I devoured it. I want to reread. Just flipping through and seeing some of my highlightings. I want to reread. Best book of this year. Y'all know I love this trilogy. Y'all know I love Kai Azar. Is Kai Azar above Lucas? No. Kai Azar used to be #1. He's #2. Y'all, I read this right after Deep End and it was so good. It was so good and it really ripped my heart out. I did a whole fearless reading vlog. Pretty much, I can't tell you what happened in this book because it would spoil the entire trilogy. But this is the Powerless trilogy. I rated this book a 4.75 stars. It's a romantasy, but I feel like it's more of a romance than it is fantasy. I feel like the first book was more action. The second book was like a little journey going on with a lot of romance going on in that book, and this book was a lot of fantasy, but not really fantasy, a lot more of action, just like the first book. I'm not really like getting, it's a fantasy world, but it was more of an action book with a lot of romance, and I just love Kai Azar. He's amazing. This book was really great, but what made this book for me was Kid Azar. Kid Azar, you are fearless. You are fearless. Yeah. Next in April, we continued on with greatness. We continued on Allie Hazelwood hype, and she gave me this book, which I rated 4.5 stars. This was back into like a work chemist setting. I feel like she does those type of books, but Deep End wasn't like that. That was my first Allie Hazelwood book in a while, and this book was like a back in a little chemist setting or a workplace setting where we have Rue, who is a biotech engineer at Klein. Klein is a business for engineers and like scientists, I'm pretty sure. And then we have Eli. She meets Eli because Eli is coming in from a different company to pretty much like kind of take over Klein, if we're being honest. He came over, but he has his reasons. They also met before that because they had a one-night stand that didn't actually happen. I really like this book. This book was a 4.5 stars. Allie Hazelwood did amazing. I'm like loving her. It definitely continued on a hype when it came to her. I love her. I love how she writes. I have been missing out on the hype of Allie Hazelwood for a long time, but no longer. In April, we DNF Throne of the Fallen. This was set in a world that was in like a different country, maybe like England, something like that, back in like the 1800s, if I'm being honest. It's a fantasy book, and I DNF'd it at 32% exactly because I did not like neither of the characters in the book, and I did not like the setting of the book. Told y'all, past tense book just don't work for me. The last book we read in April was Forget Me Not by Julie Soto, and we read this book because Allie Hazelwood is on the top, and she has like a little quote about this book and how good this book was, and I actually ended up rating this book a 3 star. I want to tell you guys my review because my review is pretty good, and I said this was a very fast-paced read, kept me hooked from the beginning. I went into the book not knowing anything about florists and wedding planners, and now I want to be both. LOL. In the beginning, I saw so much potential for a 4 star and above, but the lack of romance brought the story down. This book was not romance heavy. I'm telling you, like, I don't know what else happened in this book. We focused a lot on florists and wedding planning. We didn't focus on the romance between the two people that the book is about. I felt we focused more on the wedding and on the past than them actually being able to give each other a second chance. I didn't believe in a second chance of this romance, so the romance of this book obviously fell short for me. The ending of this book is so weird, and it definitely just not, I don't think they're together. Like, after the book is over, I don't think they're together anymore. But I did rate it a 3 star. So I would recommend it because it was a good book. It was a good book. But did I believe in romance? No. No. It's time to get into May. May, we started off with a Kindle read. This book is called My Dark Fairy Tale by Gianna Darling. I've heard a lot about her. I feel like I read a book from her before on my Kindle. I enjoyed this book for like most of the book until the end. The book was very good, very romantic. The entire book, I was just in love and romantic. And then I finished the book and realized it was not a one book. It was supposed to be like a series or a duology or a triplet, who knows, and it just was not needed. The end was forced. It did not have to happen. It did not fit the characters. I did not like that, so I'm pretty sure I rate this book a 2 star because it did not deserve a 3 star. It won't be getting recommended, and I don't think I'm going to continue on to the series because it should have ended in book 1. Next, we listened to Done and Dusted. Guys, I was listening to this for a month. My Spotify sounds ran out and I had to finish it in the next month, so that just like set me back, but I loved the book. The book was a 3-star. It was fast paced and I can't say anything bad about it. Y'all know the Red Blue Ranch series. I haven't read any other books in the series, but I read Done and Dusted, the first book in the series. I liked it. It's about a cowboy and this girl who lived in the city and she was like riding bulls or something in the city, and then she moved back to her family's ranch. She got a whole bunch of brothers. I feel like that set the scene up for all the other books because it's probably about her brothers and stuff. The romance is about her brother's best friend. It was okay. It was 3 stars. It was fast paced. It did what I needed to do. Would I read it physically? No, but I recommend the audio. I did. Next, we read Icebreaker. I rated it 2.5 stars. I was only reading the book because my best friend rated it 5 stars, y'all. The book was not bad. That's why I gave it a 2.5 star. It's not a 3 star because I wouldn't recommend the book. I have nothing to recommend the book for. The book was not as spicy as people say. It's not as spicy as y'all say. Come on now. It's between a figure skater and a hockey skater. They ended up... A lot of stuff happened in the book that kind of made no sense, if I'm being honest. But they ended up colluding. They have a romance together. I didn't believe in the romance. I feel if this book was over right now, they would not be together. Then we read The Hating Game because my best friend rated it 5 star. I wanted to try it out. I was doing a video. The video got scrapped. We DNF'd The Hating Game at 25%. Workplace romance, and we DNF'd it because she blamed him because she didn't find herself beautiful and he's never said anything about her looks. Next, we read Enigma, Rennick's new release. I read Got the Corner last year. That book was a 6 star. One of my 6 stars of last year. And then we read Enigma. Enigma was 4 stars. This book is a gothic book, dark academia, dark romance, and I really love Cass. He has a story that I feel like you can't just read in a lot of books because he was flawed. He was flawed. He has a flawed life and it was like so realistic and I felt bad for him. I felt bad for him and I hope you do feel bad for him because I feel like that'll make you understand the book 10 times more. And then we have Salem Salzer. I like her. I like Salem. She's like definitely a nosy little bee and I love it. I love it for her. She was definitely in the business, in the mystery, but the end of this book fell so hard for me, like so hard, because it was nothing. To finish off May, we read Cute Little Next of Kin. This book was 4 stars. It was so cute. It was so sweet. Next of Kin is where, say I'm suddenly parentless and I have a sibling who's older and they're my next of kin. They are able to adopt me. So that's pretty much what happened in this book. I have Chloe right here, her sister. Things happened and she had to adopt her sister pretty much and have her move in with her. And then we have him right here who just had got his brother who's older, who's actually a teenager and he's deaf. Their situation happens to where they have to foster for a little bit so things can work out and they can be stable. They both need each other to be stable and they are living in Chloe's home together and figuring out this new way of living with being parents but also being young, then also trying to be stable and also fall in love for each other. It was definitely cute. It was fast paced and I would recommend it. We're into June now. The current month I'm in right now in June still ends in a week, but the first book I read in June was Beautiful Venom by Rena Kent. First, let's talk about this art. Beautiful. We love book art. Authors need to take notes. Please put art in your books. Put it on the cover, please. I don't care. I love art. I love it so much. I do. But Beautiful Venom was a 2.5 stars. I expect this book to be at least a 3 because I've read some Rena Kent and I love Rena Kent. Rena Kent is really good. This book is a hockey romance. It's definitely a dark romance. It reminded me a bit of the Sinner series by Chantal Sassier. I hated that series, but it reminded me of that in the beginning. But it's nothing like that. It's not like that. I'm telling you, it's not like that. Definitely not as dark and spicy as that. The spice was pretty good in this, but it did get to a point in the end when I was like, yeah, I don't believe in this romance. That kind of the biggest thing for me with books. I'll finish a book sometimes and I'll be like, I don't believe that y'all will end up together in the end. And nothing really drew me to the two in this couple. I didn't feel like they belonged together. I didn't feel, you know, so into it. But it's a hockey romance. Main male character, he's a control freak. And we pretty much have our female main character trying to break all of that. And then also we have a secret society. She's trying to get into that for reasons, trying to get some revenge. Next we read Now You Hang Up by AJ Merlin. I rated that book a 2 star. It was a bit too spicy and it didn't make sense, but it was a 2 star. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't good. Then of course we read a new Ellie Hazelwood book. Yes, 4.5 stars. I love this book. I was so needy to read Maya and Hark's story. Maya is from Not in Love because she is Eli's sister and Hark is Eli's best friend. So we kind of have like some brother's best friend age gap and it's set at a wedding. We sat at Eli and Rue's wedding, and I love that because it's like found family being able to see the not in love characters, and we get to understand that Maya and Hark actually had a friendship a couple years ago, but we're reading past chapters and we're wondering like, why did the friendship end? So we're reading that, and we're also seeing like how they are kind of, well, Maya is still into Hark, like she wants her man, like she is fiending, and it's valid. And Hark, realistically, he can't stay away from her. I'm gonna tell y'all my review because I love this book and I did rate a review. 4.5 stars, 2 exclamation points. Yes, the age gap is a conflict that comes up in the book consistently. It does. Was that why the book isn't a 5-star? No. 5 stars is the feeling. I didn't get that feeling. Connor, if you know, you know, and Maya are so beautiful. Maya really knows how to advocate for herself. She's so very intelligent. The way Connor opened up for her was very perfect, and it was so beautiful to read. I say Connor because if you read the book, you know, but I'm calling him Hark just a few minutes ago. Hopefully you get it. The setting of this book was beautiful, and I loved all the found family and all the people from Not in Love that we got to see again. Then we read a cozy fantasy. We didn't really read it because we listened to it in audiobook. Would I be able to do this with this book and just sit and read it like this? No. I wouldn't be able to do that. But I would describe this book as a cozy fantasy with Kayla, and she has a little plant named Kaz, and they have this little library that they work at, and it starts burning down, so she has to go back to her hometown. And that's pretty much where the story starts off. We have a little love interest, but it's not like heavy on that. This is just straight cozy fantasy, and I do recommend it if you want an audiobook. Last book is Two Can Play by Ellie Hazelwood. Yes, I read another Ellie Hazelwood. This was an audiobook, and I'm so glad she did this as an audiobook instead of making it like a physical novella or like a book you can read on Kindle as a novella, because this is one of those books where you just read an audio. You just have the audio. Every book does not need to be. It was about 2 gamers, and I felt like that was different for her because I'm used to her jobs being like chemistry books, not chemistry books, chemistry, biology, engineering, things like that for like jobs. In her books are definitely set for like an older crowd, but they don't read like for older people. The people in the book are a little bit older, except for like Deep End, but I feel like they're a little bit over. Like in Night in Love, they were like 30s. Problematic Summer Romance, Maya was 22, but Hark was like almost 40, I think. And I'm pretty sure in like the gamer book they were like almost 30, maybe like almost at 30. I really liked it. The book was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I rated it, I'm pretty sure, a 3-star. Let me check. Yes, I rated a 3-star. And that was the last book I read in June. Right now I am reading a book. I'm reading a high fantasy book. Yes. I'm not going to tell you what it is. If you ever hear about the book, it must be really great, and I'll tell you about it eventually. We have read 29 books this year. I'm so happy that I'm so far along in my reading goal, and I hope we can reach the 50 mark. Thank you for coming along and watching me talk about all those books that I read this year, and I'll see you in the next video. I love you guys. Mwah.